The first light of morning spreads over the academy grounds as the new girl steps out of the barracks with measured breaths, letting the cool air settle across her skin while keeping her thoughts steady and controlled. Nothing about her movement reveals the alertness beneath her calm exterior, but she scans every shadow, each corner, every sound more out of instinct than need the habits of long years spent in harsh training and harsher missions guiding her more deeply than any routine this place could teach. Around her, the academy slowly wakes cadets in crisp uniforms, rushing out in uneven lines. Some focused, some distracted, and some already whispering about the newcomer who arrived the previous night with no fanfare, no background shared, and no explanation offered. The command staff simply introduced her by name and dismissed the rest as unimportant, which, to the cadets, meant only one thing: she was an outsider shoved into their world without earning a place. The whispers follow her as she walks through the courtyard, every conversation shifting when she passes, eyes flicking toward her before turning away, pretending disinterest while hiding eager curiosity. The cadets pride themselves on being able to read people and judge them quickly, and they have already decided she is small, quiet, and probably fragile, easy to target, easy to unsettle. She keeps moving at an even pace, her steps balanced and silent, the way she learned to move in terrain far less forgiving than paved walkways and flat training fields. She listens to the cadets behind her, analyzing their tones, their swagger, their misplaced confidence. She hears the sharp-edged laughter of a group that believes it dominates the social hierarchy of the academy, a group that already marked her as their next target during morning assembly. She stands in the back row, her posture straight but unassuming. Instructors bark orders while cadets respond in loud, practiced unison. The new girl answers each command with perfect timing, but with a softness that attracts unwanted attention. A few cadets glance at her and smirk, interpreting her restraint as weakness, unaware that she has spoken far louder under circumstances that demanded absolute quiet. The first physical training session begins, and the sun climbs above the horizon, spreading heat across the open field. Drills are intense and built to break down endurance and test mental focus. The instructors run them hard, pushing until blisters split open and lungs burn. She moves through the exercises without complaint, without slowing, without showing strain, her face composed, her breathing steady. The cadets notice she does not falter, but they also note she does not challenge them, and this unsettles them far more than if she had snapped back at their remarks. Her restraint denies them fuel for conflict, and so they escalate their efforts to provoke her. One cadet bumps her shoulder during sprints, another trips her path during agility drills. Each attempt subtle enough to avoid instructor attention, but obvious enough to show intent. She reacts with smooth, evasive shifts, adjusting her steps with near invisible control, never granting them the satisfaction of stumbling or confronting them. She simply continues her pace, her expression unchanged, but her eyes tracking every move. They make her mind recording their patterns, their tells, their weaknesses. The way she once memorized the habits of hostile patrols on foreign soil after drills. The cadets gather near the hydration station, crowding together in exaggerated camaraderie, letting boasts and jokes fill the air the way they always do when new stressors enter their environment. Their words grow louder when she approaches, the volume rising to ensure she hears every sneer cloaked in careless humor, but she pays them no attention. She drinks water calmly, checks her pulse rate, and reviews the sequence of the next scheduled training. In her mind, she carries herself with the quiet of someone who has endured far more brutal testing than anything the academy could offer. This place is discipline, but it is not danger. These cadets are obstacles, but they are not threats, and that truth shapes every choice she makes in the classroom. The instructors deliver lectures on leadership, discipline, and strategic thinking, topics she mastered long before stepping through the academy gates. She listens as though hearing it all for the first time, respectful, attentive, absorbing details and noting the flaws in their scenarios. This is not arrogance, it is habit, the compulsion to see every angle, every risk, every variable even. In a setting designed for controlled learning, the cadets begin to watch her more closely, not because she stands out, but because she refuses to. She raises her hand. Only when necessary, gives concise answers that reveal just enough knowledge to appear competent, but never enough to expose the depth of her experience. This balance intrigues some and irritates others, especially those who pride themselves on being the best in the room, who cannot understand how this quiet new girl remains so unshaken by. Midday, the tension shifts from curiosity to challenge. Groups form around her path as she moves from one building to another, forcing her to navigate through clusters of bodies and unspoken threats. She adapts without hesitation, reading their formation and slipping through the smallest spaces, using angles and timing to avoid brushing against anyone, each movement refined by years of tactical training disguised as nothing more than simple grace. Inside the mess hall, she chooses a seat in the corner, where she can see the exits, the windows, and the traffic patterns of the room. Habit learned not from paranoia, but from survival. Cadets file in laughing, arguing, complaining about tests and drills she eats. Quietly aware of the three cadets who occupy the table nearest hers, whispering behind raised hands, casting glances that bounce off her like pebbles against armor. One of them stands and approaches her with false friendliness, his posture casual, his eyes calculating. He drops a remark coated in sarcasm, loud enough to draw attention, expecting her to flinch or respond. She lifts her gaze, meeting his eyes for a brief moment, her expression calm, neutral, unreadable. That moment unsettles him more than any outburst could. He returns to his table uneasy, though he does not admit its afternoon training brings tactical simulations designed to test decision-making under pressure. Cadets scramble through mock urban layouts, shouting directions while instructors observe and score performance. She moves through the course with quiet efficiency, identifying threats faster than the rest, positioning herself with seamless accuracy. She never pushes ahead, never shows off, never draws focus, yet her movements knit the entire scenario into smooth operation, and the instructors notice, even if the cadets do not. As the day stretches toward evening, frustration builds among the cadets who tried and failed to unsettle her. They misinterpret her refusal to react as arrogance, and this ignites a collective determination to force a response from her. They whisper plans for the night, exercise an unmonitored period on the obstacle range where they intend to corner her and prove she does not belong here. She hears the murmurs, not directly, but through the way bodies shift around her, through the glances exchanged, through the changes in tone. She reads the signs as easily as footprints in soft earth. She knows what they plan, she knows how they move, and she knows exactly how far they will go. She does not worry. She simply prepares, reviewing the terrain in her memory, recalling every beam, rope, pit, and ladder she walked past earlier. She weighs their possible approaches, identifies the safest outcomes, and determines how to end the confrontation without escalating it. She is not here to fight, but she will not allow herself to be hunted. As dusk settles, she stands at the edge of the training field, watching the sky fade from gold to deep blue. Her breath steady, her stance relaxed. She feels the shift in the air, the quiet that comes before the challenge, and she allows herself a single thought, one that carries both resolve and restraint. They have no idea who they are walking toward, and they will soon learn in the only way. They understand. Night falls over the academy, and the air grows. Cooler shadows stretch across the obstacle range where the cadets gather quietly, whispering plans and jokes meant to unsettle the new girl. They move with exaggerated confidence, bumping shoulders, nudging each other, laughing softly, trying to hide the tension that rises as the moment of confrontation approaches. They do not know her, they do not understand the discipline that lurks behind her calm facade. The new girl steps onto the field alone, her movements deliberate, each footfall silent. On the dirt, her eyes sweep the layout, noting the beams, the ropes, The uneven surfaces, the ladders and walls, she remembers every detail. She anticipates every possible tactic they might use. She does not hurry, she does not panic, she does not betray. Emotion, her presence alone, changes the rhythm of the field. The cadence of the night air, the way the cadets shift their weight nervously, though none of them recognize the cause. Though the first cadet lunges to block her path, she sidesteps with almost imperceptible ease. The momentum of his body carries him past her, and she does not even glance back. His classmates freeze, unsure of whether to intervene or retreat. Her movements are fluid, precise, almost preternatural, the kind of motion that comes from years of combat training. When the difference between life and death depends on instinct and discipline, they regroup, whispering frantic commands to each other. One steps forward, another tries to approach from the side. They attempt to surround her using numbers, hoping to overwhelm. She anticipates their positions, predicting angles, distances, speeds, every detail. She flows around them, slipping through openings. She never strikes, she never shouts, she only positions herself, strategically letting their arrogance collapse under its own weight. Rope obstacle rises ahead. One cadet decides to climb quickly, attempting to block her exit. She moves beneath him like a shadow, timing each step carefully, causing him to lose balance. He stumbles sideways, barely catching himself. Panic flashing across his face, he glares at her, and in that moment, the others realize the new girl is not ordinary. She is something beyond their imagination. She does not pursue them. She does not taunt them. She simply advances calmly, maintaining a rhythm that they cannot match. Their attempts to herd her into corners falter, and they begin to stumble against each other, unaware that their own mistakes are being exploited. That way an enemy on the battlefield might fall into traps not of brute force, but of observation and prediction. The field echoes with muffled grunts and shuffled footsteps as the cadets try to anticipate her next move. She rotates around their formations, each pivot minimal yet decisive. Their coordination breaks their lines, dissolves their confidence, erodes each cadet questioning themselves, while she remains untouched, unfazed, completely in control of every motion. Every breath, one tries a feint from the left, swinging a stick with reckless force to startle her. She ducks instinctively, so smoothly that it seems choreographed. The momentum of her body redirects the cadet off balance. He stumbles forward, crashing into a low wall that rattles loudly. Enough to draw attention, he scrambles to regain footing. His pride shredded. Her expression does not change. Not a twitch, not a glance. She simply continues forward. Her mind calculates every variable, every chance of misstep, every possible reaction. She has done this before, in places where stakes were lethal, where hesitation meant death. She applies the same logic here, with surgical precision, knowing that fear is often louder than force, and confidence is fragile when confronted with absolute control. A group tries a coordinated approach from both sides. They converge, closing the gap, intending to trap her against the highest obstacle wall, a rope net. Her plan unfolds almost without thought. She steps into the opening between them. They underestimate the space she occupies, the angle she moves in the moment her foot lands. She pivots, spins around the first cadet, catching his forward momentum. His arms flail. He crashes into his teammate, knocking both to the ground. She passes between them, barely a whisper of motion, leaving stunned silence in her wake. The remaining cadets hesitate, confused, unsure how to respond. Some freeze, paralyzed by the realization that their carefully planned ambush is collapsing around them. Others shout instructions at each other, trying to regain control, but the new girl anticipates their desperation, predicting movement before it begins. She redirects, a shove here, a stumble there, and the cadets fall further into chaos. They are still trained. They are still strong, but they are no match for her controlled mastery. The night deepens and a chill rolls in. She pauses momentarily at the center of the field, catching her breath, not in exertion, but in measurement. Her eyes sweep the entire range, noting each cadet, each posture, each hand placement, each twitch and facial expression, and she knows how this encounter will end. Without a single blow needing to land, she steps forward calmly, and the cadets collectively freeze, their whispered boasts dissolve. Into uncertainty, their confidence evaporates into awe and fear. They glance at each other, trying to rationalize the impossible and unseen. In that moment, the truth crystallizes. None of them had anticipated her experience. None of them had imagined her capabilities. None of them realize they are already defeated, not by force, but by clarity, composure, and command. She radiates a presence that fills the field, a force invisible but undeniable one. By one, they retreat or stumble into safe positions. Unable to approach her effectively, she does not pursue them. She does not gloat. She does not speak. She simply allows the night to settle around her dominance. Each cadet aware in their bones that their attempt to target the new girl has failed. Utterly and completely, they are left questioning every assumption, every preconceived notion. Every insult they had thrown casually over the past days. The instructors arrive, finally drawn by the noise. In confusion, they see the cadets scattered clumsily around the obstacle range, and the new girl standing in the center, serene, composed, perfectly balanced, her uniform intact. Her eyes calm, clear, commanding authority. Without a word, she meets their gaze, and the instructors nod subtly in recognition of her capability, not only in physical skill, but in psychological command the same way. Field officers nod after witnessing a soldier operate with precision and control beyond expectation. By the time the cadets gather themselves, they do so with new awareness. They look at her differently now, not as a target, not as an outsider, but as someone who embodies every lesson they had yet to truly understand, someone who has already lived through realities that their routines and rules cannot simulate. She walks past them silently, her presence heavy, yet unobtrusive, leaving a sense of reverence and caution in her wake as she exits the obstacle field. The last light of night glints off her hair. The wind shifts slightly, carrying the smell of earth and sweat. The cadets remain rooted, staring after her, some in disbelief, some in grudging respect, some in quiet fear. They have witnessed skill and composure that defy expectation, that erase arrogance and replace it with humility. They will talk about this night for months, perhaps years, each encounter replaying in memory as a lesson without words. She returns to her quarters calm and silent, her training complete for the day. Though her mind continues to process the field, the movements, the mistakes, the patterns, every interaction recorded and analyzed, a habit developed over countless missions, a habit that ensures survival and dominance, not through ego, but through precision, observation, and action. She prepares for tomorrow, knowing it will bring new challenges, new observers, and perhaps new attempts at intimidation. Yet she remains unshaken, unhurried, untouchable. In the quiet dark of the barracks, she sits on her bed, reviewing every detail from the day, every shift, every step, every failed attempt to unsettle her. She considers each cadet not with malice but with clarity and precision, understanding their weaknesses, their assumptions, their blind spots. This is her method, her way of operating. It is not cruelty, it is mastery, honed through years of training and experience beyond what anyone here can imagine. And as sleep finally claims her, she allows herself the briefest smile, one that carries both satisfaction and anticipation. She knows she has claimed her place, not through dominance alone, but through unwavering, calm, controlled skill and absolute awareness. And she knows that tomorrow will test her again. But she is ready, as she always has been, as she always will be, unshakable, prepared, and in command of every situation that dares to challenge her.